approached a large red bus at Broadchurch. She had heard stories of buses coming to railway and stealing passengers, and wasn't too keen to see it there. However, to her great surprise, the bus spoke to her.
Hello there.
What? Are you talking to me?
Yes, indeed. How are you then?
I'm alright, thank you. The bus smiled.
Good to hear. I've been worried about your railway, very worried indeed. I was in charge of helping out your passengers while the line was closed, and I'm very glad to see it's back up and running again.
But if that's the case, what are you doing here? Aren't you going to try and steal my passengers?
What? And lose my job? No. I'm here to help the railway.
The pulse was confused. I don't understand.
Well, your railway has gained a lot of popularity recently, being a steam railway first and foremost. The public glamour to come and travel on your line, and I bring them here from further away so they can experience it. I also form a connection service to Hull Harbour Station because no trains run from here to there anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, I see. I always thought buses wanted to take away our passengers.
Well, we do in a way, but not to be malicious. But because our jobs benefit yours, and vice versa. Anyway, I must be heading off now. People to see and all that. You have a nice day.
You have a nice day too. Repulse.
I'm Rupert. Nice chatting to you, Repulse. We'll do it again.
Okay, see you. With that, Rupert roared away with the passengers, whilst Repulse, satisfied that the buses weren't out to stop the railway, happily made her way up the hill. But one windy morning, Colin was woken up early by his crew, so they could take some important goods down to Gannon Junction. Colin grumbled as he rolled off shed. It has to be me you choose when you take the train, doesn't it?
Well, it's cold and windy today, and it might rain. You've got a fully enclosed cab, unlike Eddie, whose job this would have normally been.
Colin put his train together quickly and set off in the dawn light. Things went well enough as he trundled down the line. The trucks were behaving well, despite being frozen by the cold winds. Colin approached the road bridge in their accident, however, he saw something queer. Stop! There's something on the line! His crew brought him to a stop as they surveyed the scene. A lorry had come off the bridge and was lying crumpled on the line, with rubble strewn all around. The lorry's driver appeared to be stuck in the cab. The driver, fireman, and guard all rushed to his aid. Colin spoke to the lorry. What happened? Are you all right?
Wind knocked us for 6 on the bridge. But never mind me. My driver all right.
His driver was conscious, but had sustained several injuries. As the fireman made him comfortable, the guard rushed down the line to the nearest signal box to stop all other traffic and explain what had happened. Colin was just about to ask his driver if they should head back to Woolchurch when they heard a beep of the bus. Is that Rupert? It was. The bus stopped near the bridge.
Oh dear, this looks nasty. Is there anything I can do to help?
There is. Can you take this man to Colac Hospital? Don't worry about up there. We'll pay it.
I'd be glad to help. Bring him round to the side of the hill and I'll come down as fast as I can.
Rupert and his driver worked hard to come off the road as far down to the railway line as they could. The guard volunteered to go with Rupert and his driver to the hospital, with the fellow passengers on board helping the driver stay comfortable. As Rupert carefully trundled off, Colin reversed his train back to Woolchurch so he could help clear up the mess. Mr. Dark, the lorry driver, and his boss were very grateful for the efforts of Rupert and Colin's crews. The steam engine and the bus were photographed side by side at Woolchurch for an article in the paper, and the lorry driver personally thanked the crews and their charges for their help in getting him to hospital. Colin, however, felt undeserving of the attention. I didn't even do anything, though.
You did. You were in the right place at the right time. Imagine if an express was coming through and the line's maximum speed and careened into that lorry. You were already going slowly with your goods train, so you were able to stop in time. Besides, your crew was a great help. If you hadn't been taking the train, that poor old lorry driver would have been stuck in there for a very long time.
I guess you're right, Rupert. But you were the real hero. You managed to get into the hospital before anything got worse.
Oh, shucks. Anybody would have done it. Was the lorry all right?
Yeah, there wasn't too much damage, just cosmetic apparently. He'll be back on the roads in no time. Corley now has newfound respect for road vehicles, and despite his earlier worries that they were only out to take care of jobs, he realised that they could all work in harmony together after all. Diesel engines from British Rail often come up to Gavin Junction to pick up or drop off goods trains. For the most part, they do their jobs and leave again, either to take their own trains onwards or to be serviced at Southampton Motor Power Depot. However, a select few of the friendlier diesels stop the junction to be serviced, often talking to the railway's own diesels to discuss news. One such evening, Raymond and Anna were chatting to a visiting diesel called Clyde, who had decided to stay the night at the junction rather than go back to the hustle and bustle of Southampton. They were chatting about the end of steam, which Clyde felt very upset about.
It was a great loss to us in the diesel community when the mass withdrawal of steam happened. Our colleagues and friends, our mentors, our saviours, all gone. One of my best friends was a steam engine, and he was just tossed in the scrap heap, with no fanfare and no acknowledgement of his achievements and hard work in service. It's disgusting. I'm ashamed to work for British Rail. I really am.
I'm so glad that I never sold to British Rail in the end. I'd have never come here and met my two best friends, Dave and Brian. They're steam engines, and they'll always appreciate me for who I am. Same here. Despite our differences, I like to think that being with the steam engines has helped me making me who I am today. Hell, I'd have never become the shunter I am without Theo, Otto, Lino, and Colin. We don't treat anybody any differently here because of their fuel type or their method of operation. We just know that we have a job to do, and we work together to do those jobs. We ditched those rubbish prejudices years ago, didn't we, Alan? Indeed. Over time, we realised our greatest saviour is our friends.
I do wish I could have been more like that out there. You two are lucky to have such a wonderful work environment here.
One day, Turbo began to feel ill. He was down on power and struggled to keep the time. Mr. Dark was worried and called in an inspector to check him over.
It's a coolant system problem, I'm afraid. His radiator fan isn't running. I suspect it's the clutch. It's a stripped-down job,
Turbo gulped.
and there's also a crack in one of his exhaust bellows that does need looking at.
Mr. Dark frowned. He relied on Turbo to help with the passenger work, especially as the other engines were so busy at the moment and needed routine maintenance too. How long would the work take to do?
Personally, I would say it'd take about 3 weeks.
And I guess I'd better find out if I can borrow another engine for the time being. I can't expect Raymond, Hannah and Nicole to do all the express work themselves. Dark to telephone British Rail and request a diesel for loan. Most unfortunately for everybody, the only diesel that BR was willing to spare was none other than Howard, the menacing Delta who had often caused inconvenience to the engines in the past. He arrived at the junction one autumn evening, much to the displeasure of the other diesels. Oh, it's you. Pleased to see me. No. Well, you should be. I'm here to show your passengers that if diesels are far superior to those old clanking steam heaters, they won't want to travel behind them once they've seen how powerful, reliable, and distinguished I am in comparison. Oh, shut up, will you? I'm so glad you're only going to be here for a few weeks. All this nonsense about us being better than steam engines. It's all a big joke, isn't it? Joke? Oh, I think not, little tin box. You see, a large and important machine such as myself does not joke. Oh, so when you floated your engine last time you were here, that wasn't a joke? Howard went red and looked around for another topic of conversation. He noted the coaling stage and water tower and shuddered delicately. Ugh. How can your engines remain here when all of this out-of-date rubbish cluttering up the place? You should replace them with up-to-date modern fittings and diesel pumps, and our friends need those, Howard, as you full well know. Friends? Pah, don't make me laugh. Friends are a waste of time, and those puffed-up contraptions you call friends will meet their ends one day, you'll see. Us diesels have already taken over the main line. We've just seen preserved backwater to take care of now, and here's an idea. Why don't you shut your trap and get out? Howard said no more. He merely glared at the diesels, wondering how to prove to them that his way of thinking was superior.
Oh yeah, no, thank you.
The engines hated having Howard there. He roared menacingly at them and constantly harassed the steam engines, threatening to drag them away from scrap. Mr. Dark was not pleased with having Howard around and kept a close eye on what he was doing. Surprisingly, the Pulse, who was naturally very shy, stood up for herself in great style when Howard began pestering her at Meerkoop one morning. She was having difficulty with her vacuum ejector, and Howard, hearing of the problem, came over to blow. Well, what do we have here then? A failed vacuum pump? Us diesels never have that problem. Perhaps you should give up and let me take your trains from now on. Go away. Oh, poor little Puff Puff. Wouldn't you rather be in a museum or melted down into tin cans? I said, leave me alone. Oh, I couldn't do that. It is my duty to inform you steamers that you really are unnecessary and obsolete. So do yourself a favour. Let me take the train. And I said, leave me alone. And what will you do if I don't? I'll fucking kill you. Howard was surprised at this sudden aggression. Fine. You stay here with your broken ejector. I'll hang around. So when you've declared a failure, I can take over. Fuck off! Howard glided away menacingly. The Hulk was surprised at her own anger but she kind of liked it. Howard found that picking on Abomination was a bad idea too. Looky here, a teeny tiny tank engine. Ugh, leave me alone, Howard. I haven't got time for your shenanigans today. You should always have time. You do no useful work around here. Why don't you just go back to where you came from and leave us in peace? All right, I'll go back where I came from. And on my way, I'll drop you off at Barry Island, shall I? Howard went to butter up to Abomination, but because of his young age and quick reflexes, he jumped forward quickly and bashed Howard. Howard growled, but Abomination pushed him back and pinned him against the buttons. Howard roared as he tried to move, but Abomination was too strong. You're going to get the hell out away from me and leaving my friends alone. You get me? Aye, well, do you understand? Aye, fine. Abomination rolled off, and Howard growled away, looking very cross that he was bested by a tank engine. It was the last day of Howard's visit, and the engines were feeling relieved. Turbos had been put back together and were being checked over before he went back to work. Everybody was very happy to see him functioning again, but Howard was not filled with the festive atmosphere. The story of his confrontation with Abomination and Repulse had gone round, and nobody would take him seriously now. He was looking forward to leaving. He'd be back on the main line on the main lines of the East Coast. But Howard would be going back to the East Coast. Howard wasn't feeling great when he left the sheds for his journey home. His engine felt stuffy, and his air intakes didn't feel right. He didn't tell his driver, who just wanted to get away from the railway and get back to the main line. However, as he rolled through Axley Station, he started to feel hot, and his engine began to skip and shudder. The driver, concerned, stopped Howard near the junction. He went to check his engine room, but came out in a hurry and clambered down from Howard's cab, who was beginning to feel hotter and hotter. What's happening to me? I feel so hot and bothered.
Your engine room's on fire. I'm going to get some help.
What? You're just going to leave me here while I burn to death?
Bye.
The driver sprinted to the signal box just down the line. Howard could feel flames beginning to lick around his inside, and he squirmed in pain. At the junction, Alan happened to be shunting when he heard the commotion from the signal box. He rolled over to find out what was the matter. Well then, what's up?
It's Howard. His engine room's on fire.
Good.
It's not good, Alan. We need to bring him down here and try and tackle the fire. But with what, I don't know.
Alan looked around the yard, then grinned. Oh, I have an idea. Come on, let's go grab him before he burns to a crisp. When Alan arrived at the scene, Howard was engulfed in a cloud of smoke. He choked as he saw Alan approach. What are you doing here? Saving your sorry ass. Come on, you great lump. Alan's driver connected them up, and he accelerated back towards the junction, hoping that the signalman had set the point the way he had asked it to be set. Luckily, they had, and Alan swerved onto a siding with the water tower on it. He stopped with Howard alongside. Quick, use the water tower to douse the fire. The men quickly started up and directed the hose through one of Howard's side windows. Several minutes later, the fire was out, but Howard was full of water and burned. His sides and roof were blackened, and his steam seeped out of him. Alan chuckled. Well then. Looks like this out-of-date rubbish saved your life, Howard. And look, you've got steam coming out of you. Does that make you a steam engine now? Can I take you away for scrap? Howard didn't reply. He just sulked. Never mind it. Perhaps you'll have a new appreciation for relics of the steam age now. Alan shunted Howard onto a siding, then headed up the line to collect some more trucks. But when he got back, Howard had mysteriously disappeared. With Howard gone and Turbo back in business, services resumed as normal. The weather, though, was starting to turn again as cold winds blew and the rain fell more often. Repulse, however, was having some difficulties. She found herself getting worked up all too easily lately and was very snappy with the other engines. I'm sorry about the other day, Hannah. I don't know what came over me. It's okay. These things happen. It was just a silly argument anyway. But I've never been like that before. I've never felt such surges in anger until recently. I even had to go at Dave the other day and I don't know why. Oh, I do that all the time. He usually deserves it. Anyway, it's probably pent up stress from being stood for so long. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'll try. But her bad moods weren't the only thing bothering her at the moment. At various places along the line, she sometimes spotted a man wearing a purple suit, watching her from afar. At first, she didn't take that much notice, reasoning that perhaps the man was a rail enthusiast. But as time went on, she could swear that the man was becoming more and more frequent, and she was convinced that he was watching her, and her alone. The purple man was at Manston Hall again today. Purple man? Yes, that's what I decided to call him. He only ever wears a purple suit. I see. So how come I've never seen this purple man? I think he's spying on me, or watching over me. I really can't tell. He's never got close enough for me to speak to. So you're saying you've got to stalker them? I think so. But I tried telling Sid the other day and he just laughed at me. He's not seen this man either. Nobody has, except me. Well, how about I come out with you tomorrow and see if I can't spot him too? See if we can't solve this little mystery. Oh, right then, Hannah. So the next morning, Hannah was coupled up in front of Repulse for the first train to Axley. They hurried through Mansfield Farm and then through Upley, with no sign of Repulse's purple man. It wasn't until they left Woolchurch until they saw him. As they crossed the lake, Repulse shouted, "There he is! Down near the riverbank!" Hannah looked, and indeed saw a suspicious man in a purple suit, his eyes on Repulse as they crossed the viaduct. So he's real? Yes. And did you see the way he was staring at me? I did. That is unusual. Why has he only turned up now? And what does he want? I don't know, but he seems familiar for some reason. He's not one of Mr. Smash's apprentices, is he? Maybe? They continued to Axley, where the two engines uncoupled so Hannah could collect a train from the junction, and so Repulse could return to Meercombe. On her way back up to Upway, Repulse spotted the man again on the nearby hill, and shouted out to him, "Who are you? What do you want?" The man didn't reply. He just watched as she accelerated along the line. The days passed, and Repulse was seeing the purple man more and more often. It got to a point where she could spot him near the line on every journey and was becoming paranoid and angry. I don't even know who he is or what he's watching me for. I just wish he'd speak to me so I can know what he wants from me. Calm down. We'll speak to Mr. Dark about it tomorrow. I'm sure we can find out who this guy is. I hope so. Otherwise I'm going to stop next time I see him and force him to speak to me. But surprisingly, Repulse didn't see the purple man the next day, or the day after that, or the day afterwards. She thought that maybe he'd seen what he wanted to see and would leave her alone now. But she was wrong. Repulse was sleeping at the junction on her own one night, having brought down her empty stock and being too tired to go back to Meercombe. The yard was eerie and silent as a mist hung around the sheds. Repulse, still in light steam, had just gotten to sleep when she heard someone move nearby. Hello? Who's there? Answer me! Nobody answered. She heard footsteps approaching, and there before her was the man in the purple suit. You! What are you doing here? He didn't say anything, but walked around to her side and began examining her. Repulse felt very uneasy, but couldn't do anything or call for help, knowing that nobody was around. The man looked at her builder's plate, bent down to look at her frames, and then he clambered into a cab to look around in there too. After a short while, he climbed down and walked round to her front, staring up at her. Then he finally spoke.
So, it would seem I was wrong.
Wrong? Wrong about what?
Wrong about you.
I don't get it. What? The man sat down on a crate.
I've been watching you for a long time, trying to work out if you were indeed who I thought you were, seeing as this was the last known location of that other one. But it seems you are indeed a completely different engine to her.
Her? Pulse thought about these words, then realised what he was talking about. Are you telling me that you thought I was Leanne?
Ah, yes, Leander,
But why are you looking for her?
because she is the one who killed all of my friends back in 1964. See, I was the one who got away, the one who managed to escape before she released that deadly neurotoxin into the shed where we were restoring her. All because we wanted to run her on a branch line rather than on the main line. She murdered the entire team restoring her, except me. I was severely injured, but I managed to get out of there alive. I've been recovering since then. 2 years ago, I decided to find her and destroy her before she could do any more harm.
But you don't have to do that now, surely. She's dead.
I am aware of that now. She was the engine who died in the tunnel collapse at Miyaku. I had believed that the engine that was destroyed was in fact you, number 45725, Repulse, and that she was masquerading as you, if that makes any sense.
It does. But why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you speak to me about it until now?
Because I didn't know whether to trust you. I observed you to try and work out if you were showing any of her tendencies. But you didn't. And I've had to wait until now to get you on your own, to examine you and make sure, to make absolutely sure that you are not Leander. And now I can rest easy, knowing that she is truly gone. I shall leave you in peace now, of course, and I hope that I can finally find some peace.
Owen stared in horror as he approached the scene. There was Repulse, standing on the running lines, her front end covered in blood. She stirred as he approached. Owen, Repulse? Oh my god, are you alright? What happened? You're covered in blood. I can't remember what. It looks like you've hit something. I might have done. An animal, maybe. I can't remember. How did I get here? It looks like you rolled out of the sheds, but you can't have. The line's level here. And as for this animal, where are the remains? The pulse was frightened. Owen, I think I did something awful last night. But I just can't remember. It's all right. Come on, I'll take you back to the sheds and get some help. Mr. Dark was on the scene pretty quickly, along with Fear and Otto, who had heard what had happened and had come down from Soma to be nosy. So you can't remember anything, Repulse? The last thing I remember before waking up was my driver saying goodnight to me. I just don't understand what's happened, sir. To think that I killed an innocent animal. So we don't know what you hit. And there is no remains found anywhere, Owen. Not that we've seen, sir. If I may, sir, we may be able to determine what kind of creatures he collided with by taking a blood sample from our buffer beam and testing it. You can do that. Of course we can, sir. It's not really that difficult. All right, then. Repulse, I'll let these two take their sample, then get you cleaned up. I can't imagine how you feel right now. Not great, sir. And please let me, or somebody else, know if you remember anything. All right? Yes, sir. Mr. Dark walked away, as Theo took a sample of the blood from Repulse. Owen offered to keep her company as the twins disappeared, but Repulse sighed. I think I'd rather just do it on my own at the moment, Owen. Okay, if you need me, I'll be at Soma. Owen rolled away, as Repulse, confused and scared, tried hard to remember what had happened the previous evening, as men arrived to clean up the blood from her front end. News quickly spread about Repulse and her mysterious accident. While most of the engines talked about what kind of animal she could have hit, Hannah was thinking about other things. I just don't get it, Dave. Owen said she'd rolled off onto the main line, but there's no falling gradient coming out of those sheds, so she couldn't have just rolled, could she? I doubt it. Also, she must have hit whatever it was at great speed to have been covered in blood, and the remains of whatever it was just what? Disappeared? Evaporated? Dave said nothing. Hannah looked concerned. Dave, what's wrong? Something doesn't feel right about this. Didn't you say she had an encounter with some bloke? Yes, it's the Purple Man. Do you think he could be behind this? Possible. What if Repulse was asleep and the Purple Man somehow drove her, killed something, then hid the evidence? Maybe trying to get Repulse in trouble? Possible. But I don't think we should be worrying about this too much. Mr. Dark said that Fear and Otto are doing a blood test to find out. And until those come back, there's not much we can do, is there? Not really. But Repulse has been acting strangely recently, getting angry for no apparent reason, and she seems mysteriously absent sometimes. She's still recovering from her ordeal last year, Hannah. These things take time to heal. We should know that as well as anybody. Best just leave her alone for a while. She'll talk to you when she's good and ready. Oh, talking of speaking to people, I said I'd go and see Brian and Raymond at Wolf Church this afternoon. I'd better head off. Alright. I'll go have a check over this afternoon anyway. Damn Ashburns. See you later. Love you. Love you too. Something doesn't add up here, and I'm going to find out what it is. Over the next couple of days, things seemed normal around the line, but Repulse was still being reclusive. Hannah had tried to approach her to talk, but Repulse had shied away each time. Eventually, she went to see Theo and Otto, and she was immensely curious about the blood sample they'd taken. We won't be able to get any results yet, Hannah. Some of our equipment went missing yesterday, along with some of the quarry work and dynamite and drilling tools. They'll turn up. Probably mistakenly put on a ballast train or something. Yes. But you don't find that suspicious? Your stuff goes missing precisely when you need it to solve a mystery? A convenient coincidence. Don't you worry your pretty little head, Hannah. We're working on finding some replacements. Why are you so interested anyway? I'd have thought Repulse would have been bugging us about it. Unless you aren't due to ask us. No, she hasn't spoken to me for days. Poor thing must be traumatized. Killing something is not as easy as people think. Is it, Theodore? I thought we weren't going to bring that up again, Nathaniel. Well, perhaps if you shared your experience with Repulse, she might feel better, but I wouldn't. I want to forget that ever happened, and that is that. And Theo steamed angrily away. Hannah looked lost, but Otto whispered to her. It's all right, Hannah. I'll calm him down later. What was he talking about? What experience? Theo and I had an unfortunate experience of having to kill once before. I'd rather not go into too many details. It's a touchy subject for Theo still. But all in all, I'd say that perhaps Repulse is still traumatized by it. That's why she's acting out of character. Leave her alone for a while. Then she'll come to you when she wants to talk about it. Meanwhile, we have work to do. Right. Thank you, Otto. No problem. On Otto's advice, Hannah kept her distance from Repulse. But one day, while resting at Miracle, Repulse approached her while she was having her Valkyrie oiled. Hello, Hannah. Hello. Look, I want to apologise for being so distant recently. I've just been trying to remember what happened that night at the junction. It's okay, but I want you to know that I am here to talk to you two. Well, that's why I came over. I think I've remembered something, but I want to talk to you in private at the junction this evening, if you can. Of course. Great. I'll see you around 7 o'clock. All right then. Repulse steamed away, but Hannah felt nervous for some reason. Why couldn't Repulse have told her right then? Nobody else was around, after all. And why did she want to meet so late in the day? She tried to shrug off the bad vibes, but just couldn't. Hannah remained in the sheds for the rest of the day, trying to think what Repulse would say to her. Did she remember what she had hit? Did she perhaps remember how exactly she had moved off from the sheds on her own? Or had someone moved her? Lost in these thoughts, she didn't notice Brian rolling up alongside her. Oh, hello, Brian. I thought you were taking the evening goods train. Oh, no. I was supposed to, but Cameron offered to take it for me. He said he needed to speak to Colin and Owen about something at the junction tonight. Oh, dear. What? I'm supposed to be meeting Repulse at the junction tonight. She says she remembered something. She wants to tell me. Why didn't she do it earlier then? The sheds have been empty most of the afternoon, and the last I saw, Repulse had already been to the junction hanging around. Had she? Yeah. Dave said he saw her leave the junction about an hour ago, heading towards Soma. That's strange. Maybe Phil and Otto have some results from that test. I don't know. They haven't mentioned it to me. Perhaps I should head down there anyway. I'm running late. It's getting near to 7 o'clock. I'm sure I can convince the others to leave the shed down there for a while. She might have some answers. Maybe. I'll see you later, Brian. Tell Dave where I've gone in case I don't see him. Of course. See ya. Meanwhile, at Gannon Junction, Cammer, Colin, and Owen were talking in the sheds. Cammer had called the pair of them down there to discuss Repulse, and the strange things that have been happening with her recently. So you're saying she did what now, Owen? I saw her last week lurking around up at Soma. She said she'd had something to take to the junction, but I've seen the work orders. Nothing was due to come down here that day, just some ballast wagons. But she took some vans. I've seen her acting strangely too. She picked up a goods train on Monday, but she wasn't booked to take it, because it was supposed to be my train. She got pretty aggressive actually, so I backed down. And I still don't believe her story. Neither do I. Something's wrong with it. She told you and Mr. Dart the last thing she remembered was her driver saying goodnight, right? Yes. Well, she told me and Ryan that her driver had left and told her he'd see her the next day. Now, why would she suddenly change her story like that? That's not all. I was speaking to Mr. Markson the other day. You know, Turbo driver. Anyway, he said that he and Turbo saw Repulse talking to herself the other night about not wanting to do something. And for the life of me, I still haven't found the body of whatever it was she hit that night. And that's concerning. Do you think we should tell Mr. Dark about any of this? I don't know. Perhaps we should. But, hey, can you smell that? Cammer, are you leaking fuel? No. Why? I can smell diesel fuel. Oh, look! The three engines looked out, looking momentarily terrified that Repulse was about to discover them or what they'd been talking about. But it was only Hannah arriving at the yard. Colin called out to her. Oh, hello, Hannah. What brings you? Holy fuck! Hold on! I'm coming! But Hannah's driver stopped her from moving forward, reversing her away as the fire engulfed the sheds. What are you doing? There's a fire! We need help! Hannah, there's nothing you can do. I've got to get the emergency services. But Cammer, Colin and Owen are inside! We need to save them! And risk your life? Or ours? No. We'll get the fire brigade. It's our only option. Hannah subsided and began to cry as her crew left her for the signal box. But she could hear the screams of pain as the three engines inside began to burn up. She stood helplessly as flames rose higher into the air and the wretched smell of burning wood and metal filled the air. Unable to stand it, she closed her eyes. The atmosphere at Mirku Sheds the next morning was unbearable. Mr. Dark stood solemnly at the front of the sheds, which was conspicuous in the absence of three engines who should have been there. He addressed everybody. Last night, Cammer, Colin, Owen were lost in the blaze of Gamma Junction Sheds. Everybody began to weep. Eddie looked absolutely mortified, crying unashamedly next to Sid, who tried to comfort him regarding the loss of his best friend. Sid understood what it was like to lose a friend so brutally and tried to console the distraught engine. Alan was lost for words. Owen had taught him so much, done so much to help him fit in on the railway, and now he was gone. Ryan, too. He couldn't speak. He just cried. Lino, who had been good friends with the dead engines, also cried, whilst Fear and Otto cried out with pained, heavy-hearted wails of remorse. Tears from his eyes, walked over to the twins, hugging their buffer beams. Dave thought silently about what he had just been told. Owen, a long-time friend who had given so much joy to his friends. Colin, a fellow Midland engine, so down-to-earth and willing to help. And Cammer, the diesel he felt he had saved and given a second chance. All gone in a flash. He cried silently, hoping that nobody would notice, but Hannah did. She couldn't give him a comforting smile, but the look she gave him told him everything he needed to know. It was all right. He could breathe. Hannah happened to glance over at Repulse, who was also shaking, crying as hard as any of the other engines. But Hannah Looking at Repulse's face, didn't think they were sincere. Mr. Dark finally regained his composure. I've been informed that the cause of the fire was a leaking diesel tank of parts at the diesel pumps, which must have ignited with the hot ash from defaulted, but the engine knew what he was going to say. From Collins fire, I'm banning access to the site until everything has been cleaned up. I don't want any of you going there. It wouldn't be right. Everybody looked solemn. We will remember them, and I will remember everything they've done for me and for all of you. They will be missed, but not forgotten. Their memories will live on with us. I hope that they did not suffer too greatly. Nobody spoke. Services will have to resume next week. For now, I personally want you all to think of the good times, not the bad. I shall leave you all in peace. As Mr. Dark walked away, Hannah noticed that Repulse had made an impulsive movement, moving forward slightly as Mr. Dark crossed the tracks. Horrified, Hannah said nothing but looked away, hoping that Repulse hadn't noticed what she'd seen. She fought hard. Repulse had asked her to meet her at the junction that evening, but she had run late after speaking to Brian. If she had arrived a few minutes earlier, she could have been caught in the fire too. This was too much of a coincidence for her to bear. Was it possible? Everybody mourned for the loss of Owen, Cammer, and Colin over the next few days. Eddie wasn't speaking to anybody, and neither were Random and Ryan. Theo, Otto, and Nino informed everybody that they would be heading back to Soma so they could have some time alone. But before they left, Nino spoke to Hannah. Hannah? Yes, Nino? Meet me at Gannon Junction at sunrise tomorrow morning. But why? I want to find some answers, and I, Theo, and Otto think you do too. Hannah was scared. She had been asked to the junction before, and look what had happened. But then again, she did fully trust Nino. Make sure that you're not followed. And with that, he left. Hannah, now more worried than ever, remained silent for the rest of the day, before deciding that she did, indeed, want answers. Early next morning, Hannah quietly left the yard, alone. Repulse, she saw, was in a deep sleep and did not stir. At Gannon Junction, she found Theo and Otto waiting for her. Lino appeared to be inspecting the remains of the shed complex, looking very grim as he did so. Hannah, I'm glad you came. But why did you want to see me? Here of all places, we're not meant to be here. Because you seemed curious about what Repulse had hit, and you said you didn't think it was a coincidence that our equipment went missing either. You will be pleased and shocked to learn that we've finally managed to complete the blood test. But how? We found our missing equipment. Where was it? What? We discovered it at Mirku, in the goods shed. Moments after, we'd seen Repulse in the general vicinity. Repulse? What are you saying? That she stole your equipment? Yes, and I think we know why. To slow her down. We think she knew all along what it was that she hit, and she didn't want anybody to find out. Hence why she took our stuff. But you say you know what it was now? Yes. The blood sample we found belonged not to an animal, but to a human. What? A human? Yes. We couldn't identify who it was. There were no records that matched that blood on our system. But there were trace amounts of material mixed in with the blood. Purple material. Hannah looked gobsmacked. She teared up. I think I know who it was. It was that purple man. That guy who was stalking her. So this is proof that he existed. What am I saying? This is proof that she killed a man. But where's the body? Never mind that, chaps. You'd better come and have a look at this. The free engine cautiously approached Lino. See these scorch marks here and here? Those couldn't have been made with just a fire alone. They're impact points from an explosive device. And I think I know where the explosive device came from. It would appear that the missing dynamite from the quarry was used here. And if Repulse stole the equipment from the quarry, then she stole the dynamite. This shed exploded when I arrived here. Hannah, why were you here that night? Repulse asked me to meet her here at 7 o'clock. This explosion went off just after 7 p.m. You don't think that you might have been the target all along, Hannah? But why? Why would she want to kill me? Repulse didn't want to kill you, Hannah. The 4 engines looked, terrified. There was Repulse. Repulse? Not quite. What? Repulse didn't want you dead. She didn't want anybody to die. But I do. I don't you remember what I said? What I said just before I died, Hannah? No? That not even death would stop me. Hannah couldn't believe what she was hearing. Repulse couldn't have possibly known that those were the final words that she had said. Nobody talked about it. Nobody had spoken to Repulse about it. It couldn't be. Leanne. Correct. Hannah felt a lump in her boiler. But no! You're dead! You're dead! The tunnel! The real Repulse! You're Repulse! Not her! We've proven it! Beyond any doubt! Mr. Dark, he made absolutely sure that you were the real one. Leanne is dead. Yes. Yes, I am dead. Then how? How is this possible? Why should I explain anything to you? As far as I'm concerned, it is time for you to die. But Otto wasn't having any of this. He pulled forwards and, with a flash of light, he was welding a large whale gun, pointing it directly at Repulse. You had better start explaining some things to me, Repulse. We know that you're responsible for the Purple Man's death, and for the death of Kammer, Colin, and Owen. Repulse looked at the gun. You wouldn't kill me, would you? Not without knowing the full story? Then start talking, or I'll disintegrate you to dust. The angry look on her face was replaced by a look of sheer terror. Her voice changed. Otto, please, don't kill me. She's inside of me. She's taking over. Explain. Leander is, she's taking over my body. Her soul is in here. When she damaged me, when she tortured me, she did something. Something else. Something I don't know. She said she'd made me a vessel. So if she failed her mission, she could have a backup. She said she'd use me to do terrible things if she died. Oh no, she's coming back. She's Repulse. But her voice changed again. Repulse is weak. I can feel her trying to get through, trying to take control of her body again. But no matter. I'll explain. When I was in the scrapyard, I met him on several occasions, whilst in my own weakened state. He tried to take me, but he couldn't. My spirit is stronger than his, and I survived. I came back, and again. But I knew that my soul, my spirit, would live on.
And I tried all sorts of things. I learned I could potentially come back from the dead if I found something more suitable. And then I encountered Repulse. Pathetic, gullible, and pitiful. I weakened her soul so that one day, if my plans were not successful, I could inhibit her soul. He couldn't take me. But now I am so close to taking her body fully, and then he won't be able to stop me. Who is Pogo? Him. He tried to take my soul that day, the day my own body perished. But I tricked him. He couldn't take me, for I'd left my body and entered this one. I've been getting stronger all the time, trying to come through. And then, that night, that purple guy came back. And I finally did it. I took over her body fully, and I killed him, and I hid his body, and I killed him. It was me. Hannah, did I kill somebody? Did I? Quiet, you. As you can see, she's still fighting. Maybe I don't give her enough credit. And Camma, Colin, Owen, why did you kill them? They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You see, Hannah, I was trying to kill you. So it's true. You were trying to lure me down here and kill me. Yes. I knew you were onto me, onto Repulse. I knew that it wouldn't take these too long to work out what I killed. So I